All right, we're diving into a really fascinating way of looking at the Bible today. The main idea here is pretty bold. What if the entire book, from Genesis all the way to Revelation, isn't just a collection of stories, but one single massive story? So what is that story? Well, what if it's a love story? I mean, a truly epic one. What if the whole thing, all 66 books, is really about a divine marriage, a cosmic romance between God and humanity? It's a powerful way to see it. And to really get it, we're going to need a key.
And that key, as you'll see, is hidden in plain sight, right inside the traditions of an ancient Jewish wedding. The structure, the symbols, the whole ceremony gives us a kind of roadmap. It lets us see the biblical narrative in a totally new light. So let's start by taking a look at that key.
To make this all work, we first have to understand the blueprint itself, and that's the three-stage process of an ancient Jewish wedding.
It was a process with three really clear stages. First, you have the proposal and the betrothal, which was often arranged by the groom's father. Second, there's the acceptance and the sealing of the covenant. And then finally, sometimes much later, you get the huge wedding procession and the feast. Go ahead and lock those three stages in your mind, because we're about to see how they map almost perfectly onto the entire Bible.
Let's jump into our first stage and see how this all starts to build. We'll begin in the Old Testament, which, if you look at it through this lens, becomes this grand act of divine courtship.
So in this first act, God is cast as the suitor, or maybe more like the father of the groom, who's initiating this whole thing. He's pursuing a covenant relationship, basically a marriage proposal with the nation of Israel. And this isn't just some dry legal agreement. It's written in this deeply personal language of love, of commitment. And you know, this isn't just us reading into it. The prophet Hosea wrote it down perfectly. God is speaking here not like a king on a distant throne, but like a devoted husband-to-be, promising to betroth his people forever. I mean, that is the language of a marriage proposal, plain and simple.
Okay, so if the Old Testament is the big proposal, then the New Testament is where the betrothal ceremony actually happens. This is where the covenant gets sealed. Jesus steps onto the scene, and how is he identified? As the bridegroom. This isn't something people came up with later, it's right there from the beginning. John the Baptist himself pointed to Jesus and said, "The one who has the bride is the bridegroom." The stage is officially set for the covenant to be confirmed.
And this is where the parallel becomes just undeniable. In that Jewish betrothal ceremony, the couple would share a cup of wine to make their covenant official. Now think about the Last Supper. What does Jesus do? He takes a cup of wine and offers it to his disciples.
He doesn't just offer the cup, he says it is a new covenant. Now for the people in that room who grew up with these traditions, the symbolism would have been crystal clear. This was it. This was the moment of acceptance, the sealing of the marriage agreement. This wasn't just another meal. It was a betrothal ceremony. Of course, every marriage covenant came with a price, right? A dowry or a mahar. And in this divine love story, the dowry that gets paid is just staggering. The crucifixion is framed as the ultimate bride price, not silver, not gold, but the very life of the groom, given to redeem his bride, the church. So, the covenant is sealed and the price is paid. But wait, the wedding feast hasn't happened yet. In the ancient tradition, this brings us to that in-between time, the period after the betrothal, where the couple is legally married, but they're not living together yet.
So according to the custom, after that covenant was sealed, the groom would actually leave. He'd go back to his father's house. And he wasn't abandoning his bride, he was going to prepare a home for them to live in. And the bride? Well, her job was to wait for him to come back. Now listen to this. Just before his ascension, Jesus' words to his disciples sound almost exactly like this tradition. He says he's going to his father's house to prepare a place for them, and then he'll come back to get them. So this whole time we're living in now, it's framed as this period of waiting, of preparation for the groom's return. So what is the bride, the community of believers, supposed to be doing during all this waiting? Well, according to this framework, she gets ready. She adorns herself, not with jewelry, but with righteousness and holiness. She keeps her faith and her hope alive, keeps the lamps lit, and she eagerly, hopefully, waits for the day the groom finally comes back for her.
And that, of course, brings us to the grand finale, the third and final stage of the wedding custom, the procession and the feast. The whole biblical story has been building towards this one moment, and it's described in the book of Revelation as the marriage supper of the Lamb. This is the ultimate consummation of history, the moment the groom returns for his bride, and the cosmic wedding feast finally kicks off.
This verse just captures the absolute joy of that moment. The long, long wait is finally over, the groom is back, the bride is ready, and the marriage covenant that started way back with a proposal in the Old Testament is now at last fully realized.
So, when you look at it this way, the Bible really does become this one single, incredibly coherent love story, ending with the greatest wedding feast you could ever imagine. And the story suggests that the invitation has been sent out to everyone, which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question. Are we ready for the feast?